So if you're anything like me, you always worry about your plants, whether or not they're house plants or garden plants, when you go away on holiday. Have I got a bit of a special video for you today? Hi, my name is Memo, this is my channel, Houseplantygoodness, and essentially it's a place where I like to geek out about my big passion. You might be able to see some of it behind me, it's tropical houseplants. So today I've got a really interesting product that I want to unbox with you. So this video is probably going to be in two sections. It's going to be in the same video, but this bit today basically will be me unboxing something. Memo's got another gadget. You know how I like my gadgets, especially when they relate to my houseplants. So this is a product that actually works for when you go on holiday, essentially. It's an automatic irrigation system, and it's from a company called RainPoint. Very, very cool company. I will link their website down below so you can check them out as well. And this is something that I've been looking for a while, actually, because people that have been here for a while will know that I tend to go on holiday a lot. And by holiday, I mean go back home to visit family and do more work when I'm there. But you know what I mean. I'm away a lot of the time. Possibly I would go away a bit more if I had a way to consistently, kind of without worrying too much, water my over 600 houseplants. And I always thought about this, not only for the house, but also for the allotment, for the garden. When I go away, or even the allotment actually on a regular basis, like how would I water my plants if I can't get there every day to water? Is there a way, because there's no power at the allotment, there's no running water either, like how would I do this? And this works for houseplants as well. So the product that I got is the RainPoint Smart Solar Irrigation System. So very, very cool. And from what I could see, and we'll look at this together as well, this has got two ways of charging, both solar and via USB as well, which is always handy basically. But solar is really cool as well, because if you're going away for a long period of time, you don't want to worry about, you know, like if the USB doesn't work or if you've got a power cut. As long as this is pointing towards a window and it's getting solar power, you're fine. But yeah, so relatively small box, really, really cool. I like the fact that the company is all about kind of saving water as well. They've even got a little save water sticker at the bottom there. So yeah, box is nice and compact. Came relatively quickly as well. This is a company, if I'm not mistaken, that's based in the US, and probably a week, I would say, for it to get to the UK. So first things first, there's, I like a box within a box, you know me. So there's a mini box hub in here. There's some instructions as well, which is really, really cool. Let's have a look. So there's some instructions on how to set it up. I will do this and come back and talk you through it as well. And there's a decent manual actually, and you can connect it to your smartphone. So I'm already a fan basically, but I won't kind of like go through that with you on the video necessarily. I might kind of like show you what's in the box, and I will show you some of the setup actually. And then what we'll do for the second part of this video will be probably Memo in the future by a few days, just to kind of give you my experiences, how the products worked for me, kind of how it's all been basically. Next thing is, ooh, this is chunky. I like it. I like it. I like it. Heavy things are usually a good thing for me. So good packaging actually. It kind of all seems really secure. Apologies for the rattling of the paper. I will try to move it away from the microphone. But ooh, see, this is kind of cool actually. So this I would imagine would be the solar panel, and oh, look at that. It tilts as well, so that's really cool. So if you want to put it near a window, there's obviously a hook at the back, which I would imagine, yes, it swivels, so it can kind of get placed in different locations. But the good thing with this is you can kind of get it to point at different sections where you might have a window or something that's got light coming onto it, just to make sure that it's getting the power that it needs, basically. But yeah, it's a decent heft as well. It doesn't feel cheap or plasticky at all, which is really, really good. Kind of feels like it'll have some staying power. And then a whole bunch of little other elements that come with. And I have a sneaky suspicion that I know what some of these things are, basically. And a whole bunch of tubing at the bottom. So that is everything. Let me quickly read through the instructions. And in the blink of an eye in this video, I will know what's going on. Okay, it all seems relatively straightforward, which is good. I hate it when you get instructions and they're just too overly complicated. So I will hopefully add a little picture here that I can see from the instructions here, just so you can see what the setup is going to look like, basically. And what I'm hoping to do with this is set it up for like couple of my plants and then also have like a clear container next to it, just so I can see kind of how much water is being dispensed, basically. But first things first, I don't have solar at the moment because it is evening time in the UK and it's winter, so there's no sun out at the moment. But there is, from what I can see, a rechargeable battery right there behind the panel. And essentially what you would then do, there's a little kind of plastic, clear plastic that obviously is keeping the battery from making contact. Remove that. The battery then makes contact. There's a very gratifying light that is happening there. And now you need to connect this to your phone. So what I'll do is I'll put it down and I'll bring my phone up, and hopefully I shall bring up a little screen here so you can see what I'm doing on my phone. They've got a handy little QR code actually for both Android and Apple. So I'm just going to scan the QR code and it will take me to where I need to go for the app. So I can see it brought me straight into the app, which is great, basically. And I'm just going to install. The app is called HomeGar, so I'm assuming Home Garden, but HomeGar. Okay, and it's installed. It didn't take longer than like 10 to 15 seconds, basically. So I'm just going to open the app now. Nice. You've obviously got the user agreement and privacy policy because data protection is a thing in GDPR for people in the UK, and Europe will know. So it's asking me to register an account and then log into the app, and then obviously add the device. It's quite cool. It's got a little kind of walkthrough on what you need to be doing on the screen, basically, and then obviously saying about setting up the Wi-Fi and making sure that the devices are kind of charged in, making sure that they're all ready, basically. So it's just talking me through how to add the different devices, the fact that it could be ready for pairing, done. So the tutorial is quite a good one actually, because a lot of the times with some of these smart devices, the tutorials are basic at best, basically. So let's see if I can do this. I will probably be blurring out some of my personal details here, but you should be able to see on the screen what I am doing. So I need to go into, it brings you up to the login page. You need to make sure that you're clicking on register, because obviously it's telling you that you need to register first. So let me do that. And it's really good when you're registering. It also sends you a verification code on your email to make sure that it is you and nobody else is trying to register, which means it's relatively secure as a system as well for people that might be worried when they're away, basically. Okay. So now I'm on a screen where it's saying home management. I can change the name of my home and do it something else. So considering that it's going to live in my conservatory, I'm just going to name it conservatory. And then it's asking for the time zone. Greenwich Mean Time is obviously where we're at the moment, so I will confirm that. Oh, this is interesting because you also get formats as well in terms of if you want it to be metric, if you want it to be imperial. That's really, really cool, actually. Date format, I'm going to move it away from the American way of doing it, and I'm going to move it on to day, month, and year. But yes, temperature is in Celsius, which is great, and then everything else is as it should be. I need to click on tick rather than just exiting out. And I think everything else should be fine. Yes, that should be everything that I need to do. So now it's telling me to click to add a device, which is what I'm going to do. And then it's giving me a whole bunch of devices to choose from. Ha ha ha. I need to add a hub, obviously. Read it properly and add the hubs, basically. So let's add the little hub. So one of the first things I want to do before I connect the actual pump itself is to make sure that the hub is connected. I've obviously set up all the little elements that I had to in terms of my user details, making sure that I am plugging in the hub. It's actually, what is it? It's a USB-C connection, which is back, which is good. And then it goes into a regular USB. Let me just plug this in really quickly. Okay, so the hub is plugged in now. And what I would do is I would go and find the hub. So find the mini hub. Set all the permissions that you need to do. Make sure that you're allowing the website, the actual hub to connect. Okay, and now it has connected. I'm looking down because that's where it is at the moment. The only thing that I had to do that was extra is there's a button on there and it just says hold the button down. You get the flashing light that happens and then it can make the connection with your actual device. And now that I've got my device kind of all the mini hub connected, at this point I can add the device itself, which is the actual pump. And I select the watering pump. It's also telling me that I need to have the watering pump as close as possible to my phone, basically. So I'll make sure that I'm holding them close to each other. The light may have gone off on this in the meantime that I was trying to do this, so it might tell me that I need to press something in order for the pairing to happen. Yep, I had to press the top button, which said set, just so that the flashing lights would come back on the side. And it's saying that the device has been added successfully. So this is now connected, basically, which is really, really good. So the hub is connected. That's obviously what's making the connection to the internet. And then the irrigation hub, the device, the pump, is actually then connected to the hub. And I'll show you really quickly on the app what you can find as an option, basically, and it is plan. And you can do an irrigation plan, and I can go in and I can set the start time, duration, how often, how long I want it to kind of like water for, and then how often do I want it to repeat. And the options are every day, odd days, even days, or I can even customize it basically. So let's leave it on every day. Duration, I'll leave it on 30 seconds. And it will start at 8 o'clock in the morning, basically. Aha, there is a really good thing on here as well. And it says rain delay. I'm assuming it means watering delay. And it's got 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours. So if you're worried, say you're using this not just when you're away on holiday, but you want to be using the irrigation system whilst you're in and around, and you're just like, no, I'm going to be watering my plants now, you can delay the watering by 24 hours or 48 hours or 72 hours, which is kind of cool, actually. Aha, and then the other thing that you could do, so you know how I said before 8 o'clock, and it will come on and it will water for half an hour. Say, for instance, we're in the middle of the depths of the summer, and some of us know this really well, where you need to water more than once in that same day because things dry out too quickly. You might do it so that it does half a minute at 8 o'clock, you might do another half a minute at like say midday, and you might do another one towards the afternoon as well. You can add multiples of this to happen as well, which is really kind of cool. And then I just want to go back to show you, and then there's irrigation. So the irrigation option on the app is just a manual way of doing it. So it's not connected yet, But if I was to press confirm here, I would imagine what would happen is that the device would then just irrigate, or basically water the plants. So it's good if I go back, it also has when the next plan is happening, and you can kind of see there the time and the date as well. So what I will do is I'll leave you here for now. I will go away at this point, it's the very end of the day, so it's going to be fun for Memo, and just collect all the piping up as well as per the diagram that I showed you earlier on. And the next time you'll see me will probably be a couple of days later to show you how it's worked out for me. I will probably at that point show you the setup as well. It's relatively straightforward as well from what I can see basically. And you'll see it. You can put a large water container, basically put this on the side of the large water container. There'll be some pipes that will go from this device into the water in the container, and the other pipe will be the irrigation that will be towards all of your plants. And I'll show you this all set up in the next section of this video, which for you will just be in a couple of seconds. And like magic, we're a couple of days later, basically, and this device has made me too happy. You know me and my gadgets. So I've managed to connect everything. I've had it running for a few days, and I wanted to show you how I set it up and just kind of show you quite how well it surprised me, actually. It's like I was expecting good things, but kind of went above and beyond what I was expecting with the RainPoint like smart irrigation system, basically. So a couple of things that I want to show you. One is how I set it up and how the setup needs to kind of be. And two, I want to show you, I've got like a clear cup of water that I can show you, or a clear cup, and I can show you kind of how it irrigates into that, just so you can see kind of the level of water, which was impressive. And also I'm going to attach one of the plants that needs watering today, just so I can show you how it waters those plants as well. And I'll give you some close-ups as well of the device to see the solar panel bit, and also see the port where you can kind of charge via USB as well. So without further ado, I will grab the camera and take you up lower so you can see it in action. Okay, so you can see the device, and the good thing is I've put it in a bucket, and I'll explain that in a moment, but there is the hook that we saw when I was unboxing it that kind of connects to the side of the bucket. And this is why I think this solar panel being able to move is so ingenious, because if I had it there and the light wasn't coming from there, but it was coming from above, say like in my conservatory, I can easily just move it up so that it captures the light so it can actually work on the solar side of things. And just to show you how you can actually charge the battery, that if you don't decide to go via the solar route, you pull the battery out, and then you should be able to see right there on the side. So you can see it's a USB-C, it comes with a cable as well. Pop that in, pop the rest of the cable into a wall socket, and it ends with a regular USB, and you just charge that up if you don't want to go down the solar panel route. And just so I can show you how most of the inserts work, you've got the pipe that you would cut in different sections to length, and then you've got the little elements. So this is one of the watering elements, and you just push it in. There's grooves on all of these little connectors. All of these connectors have got little lips basically, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, you get a cross connector, you get T connectors, you get obviously the end bits, but all you do is you take the pipe, you add it in, you squeeze it in. I'm not going to do this one just now, but you'd squeeze it in, make sure that it's all the way in, and then you're done. And you might be able to see there on the side, you've got set, which I was using when I needed to kind of sync it to the hub. And then this button, which I haven't tried yet, I will do on this video, is one where you can actually water manually, basically. And then you can see here, there's an in, and there's a second pipe down below, which is out. And the in connects to this pipe, and it goes all the way into kind of a water container. I've used a bucket here. And the good thing is you might be able to see there's a filter at the bottom that you add in, which means if anything does get in the water, it will kind of prevent it from going into the system. And so the water pulls through into the device, it goes in, And then obviously this does all the smart things, and it comes out on this tube, and you can kind of see, I've had to set it up here so you might be able to see it a bit easier. There's a valve here which prevents water from going back into the system, so it only ever goes in this direction. You need to make sure that is added in correctly. And then you can see all the way around, and then you've got a T-junction. For the first one, I'll show you in a clear cup, so you can see the water flowing through, and then I'll show you on some plants. And then it ends in these little spikes that you put into the soil media. You can probably use this for semi-hydro as well. I think I've used this for semi-hydro already, and it worked really well. And they've got a second one connected, and you can see all the little T-junctions, and then you need to put a stopper at the end. And you can do up to 10 plants. So let's see about operating it manually so you can kind of see what it looks like. And you can kind of see already, look at the water coming through. It's really, really, really cool. And it's actually got a decent level of like pressure. Obviously, if you can see any kind of leaks that are happening on the side of the cup, it's because obviously this is not the way that it's intended. But I just wanted to show you quite how much water is pushed through. And then if I click the same button, it stops. And there are ways to do this via the app as well. So you can see here, I've connected it into my Syngonium chia pens, and the good thing about those little spikes is you can shove them in quite deep into the soil level, which means that you can actually get water quite low into the soil level. Now again, I'll show you by just pressing the set button, but as I showed you in the first section of this video, there is a place on the app where you can set to manually water. So say you're walking around the house and you really cannot be bothered to go in and water the 10 plants that you've got connected, you can just press it really quickly. It will start to flow with water, and then you can kind of stop it. And with the manual on the phone instead of the button, so the button you need to be there and press it to kind of get the pump running, and then press it again to stop. With the actual app itself, you can set a time limit. So you can say 30 seconds, 10 seconds. The thing with the duration, you're probably going to need to do some experimenting, but hey, we're all plant people. We're used to experimenting with these things. So see how long you need it to run for in order to properly saturate your plants. And obviously with the schedule, you can do the same thing. You can schedule, as you've seen in the first part of this video, multiple times a day to water. Think of those really like hot summer days. Or you can do like once a day if it's like the winter, or if it's plants that only need watering once a week, you can set it up to be just once a week, basically. It doesn't have to be every day. Again, first part of the video should have that when I was showing you on the app. But let's just do the manual watering now so you can see. I've kept the cup as well. And there we go. You can kind of see it's still filling up the cup. And then if I go closer to here, you can kind of see it going into the plant, which is really, really, really cool. And it's really good because, yeah, you just don't have to worry about it. It will do what it needs to do. The reality with this is, even if you're not particularly technically minded, this was a relatively easy way of doing it. Oh, so that's interesting. So even the manual button on here has got a time limit because it stopped itself. But say, let's have a look at this. So we can see that it watered the plants on the preset, but for me, I would like a bit more water. So all I would make sure is, you know what, I'll check. If it was running for 10 seconds, I might then try it for 30 seconds. If I see that it needed a bit longer, say it needed 40 seconds or a minute, then I can make it run for 40 seconds or a minute, which is really, really, really quite cool, basically. And if I show you in here, the beauty of this is, especially if you're away, it's a bucket confirmation, essentially. So as long as your bucket is full, it's all working fine. And now the other cool thing, because it's a smart device, can you see that little inlet of water at the bottom? If it runs out of water, at some point I let it run out of water, and it notifies you on your phone saying, you know what, your device doesn't have any water in it. So say, for instance, you were away and you kind of ran out of water in the bucket, you could always kind of ask a friend, or you might know this already, and just say, you know what, instead of you coming over to my house and watering every day. How about you go to my house once a week and just fill up this water bucket? And it's as simple as that. Now, some of my final thoughts on the RainPoint Smart watering system or irrigation system, basically. So far from what I've seen, both in terms of the packaging that it came in, the instructions, everything has been super easy to set up. And actually, I have been thoroughly impressed with how well it works. The volume of water that it comes in, the fact that pretty much it worked straight out of the box after I connected everything is ideal for me. And I know because I know I'm technically minded, but I know not everybody else is. So this is something that I could quite happily, for instance, give to my mum, talk her through kind of setting it up. She could probably do it on her own and it would probably work. And that's saying something because my mum is not particularly technically minded. But this is really, really cool because barring the obvious kind of benefit of being able to go on holiday, not having to worry about who's going to water your plants or how the plants are going to get taken care of, this also works for the lazy people amongst us where, as I said, like you might be kind of walking around the house and you're just going, I really don't want to water this plants or these sets of plants. Today I've got other things I need to do. If this is already connected, just a little button in terms of like manual mode. You've obviously got the schedule as well. You can set that up if you've got like 10 plants that you want to put on and just not have to worry about watering them because they might have high watering needs and things like that. I'm thinking, summer and some plants that are quite small that might kind of dry out quite quickly. This is something that you can kind of set it and forget it because again, because it's connected to your phone, there's a lot of notifications that it will come through. As I mentioned earlier on, if the bucket of water, for instance, runs out of water, it will ping you a notification saying, we don't have any water. So what you just need to do at that point is go and fill up the bucket, which is really, really cool. And obviously the obvious benefit to this is if you've ever thought about getting like an irrigation system set up, a lot of the times you've got it connected to a tap or a faucet and you need to set up timers on that. The tap is always on. There's always problems of the tap leaking everywhere. Ugh, messy, messy, messy. This one seems to be nice and clean and straightforward in terms of the way that it works. And because of that spike situation as well, I just had a moment of inspiration. Because of that spike element, you could probably set that spike up in the moss poles. For the people that are sitting there waiting for the moss poles to drip feed. This will do you perfectly. But yes, I'm really happy with this. I'm really happy to play around with this and actually really get my hands into the product and use it for a few weeks, months, and I can always kind of refer back to this video if you want me to do a bit of an update on how I'm finding using it. But let me know what your thoughts are on this product and would you be getting something like this? And if you are thinking about getting something like this, the lovely people at the RainPoint company basically have given me a lovely discount code that I will add down below, where if you purchase one of these devices, you will get a discount, which I'll put up at the top there. So yeah, if you're thinking about getting it, get yourself a deal, use my code, and tell me how you get on with it. But I think this is definitely going to be a bit of a game changer, especially with us getting closer to the summer holidays or even like spring break, basically. But yes, hopefully you've enjoyed. Hopefully I shall see you here soon. And I truly, truly hope that you have a great rest of your day. Thanks. Bye.